The next stage that we're going to talk through is designing and building. And again, this is the phase after you've said, okay, here are the requirements. We've set up our program. We've started to generate SBOMs. The actual process of building the software, managing sprints and timelines, and getting to a releasable unit. This is the time when we really see the builders and the operators working together to make sure that as code is being developed, that you are understanding what components are going into that software, what are the risks associated with actually taking or using some of these components. I think the worst case scenario is when you it is if you are building something and you spend 6 months to build this thing using this open source dependency, and then you find out at the end of the day that there's some sort of critical either security vulnerability or some sort of license risk that makes it untenable to use that component. And so being able to do this on every commit ensures that you have a fast feedback cycle to rip things out or replace them or consider other options much earlier in the process. In this project that I scanned before, once we identified all those dependencies, FOSSA provides a number of different types of metadata that we attach and provide different issues to identify licensing issues and security vulnerability issues. And so in this case, I have a bunch of these different types of issues, different ways to prioritize and to filter these. All of these issues are defined in what we call policies. And policies are basically the list of rules that help you to determine with your legal team what are the allowed licenses versus what ones should be reviewed by the legal team versus which ones should be flat out denied. The legal team has already made a decision about what is allowed. And so in this case, I have a handful of these that are just flat out denied. And if in these cases, this is where I really need to just understand, okay, like what is the evidence that this is the right license that has been identified, and to what extent does this pose legal liability for me? For instance, am I using it in a way that I'm directly using the functionality versus it being in a test used in a test harness or in a different non-production sort of way. And so the way in which that software is being used is going to impact to what extent are you potentially liable for including this piece of software, and then what are the terms or the obligations that you need to comply with in order to satisfy the terms of in this case the GPL 2.0. So similarly, we provide the set of vulnerabilities associated with all of the dependencies in this particular project. And so you can see here that we have the ability to sort by critical high security vulnerabilities. What we find, especially for development teams, is that by focusing on the ones that are critical high and also that are direct, that provides really the best view of dependencies that can actually be actioned on most easily by a development team. And that seems like a good place to start from a prioritization perspective, to say, okay, these are the ones that are directly being used that have high security vulnerabilities, and we recommend you upgrading the package from whatever version that you're on to 2.9.1. This is just a very brief kind of example, but trying to show how you can take that list of dependencies and now surface risks associated with it, that the builders and the operators are working together to make sure that you're resolving these kinds of risks before the software goes out the door.